Welcome to Veronica Live. I'm Veronica, and joining me once again is Tracy. Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Veronica.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a beautiful Saturday.
And I wanted to let everyone know, so I don't forget, that Veronica Live has been picked up on iHeart, so you can go to the iHeart app, type in Veronica Live. You'll be able to find our podcast there. So I'm super, super excited about that. And of course, we're still on iTunes and then on Facebook on Veronica Live. But I know today we wanted to start out and talk about Justice Kavanaugh and everything that's going on. And I wanted to play this soundbite first for you, Tracy. This was back in the day, 1991, with Clarence Thomas. So here we go.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Senator, I would like to start by saying unequivocally, uncategorically, that I deny each and every single allegation against me today that suggested in any way that I had conversations of a sexual nature or about pornographic material with Anita Hill, that I ever attempted to date her, that I ever had any personal sexual interest in her, or that I in any way ever harassed her.
So that was back in 1991, and I fast forward to 2018. We're back at this point again with Justice Kavanaugh. So I know. I don't know. You probably haven't heard that speech in a long, long time.
No, I remember when that was going on, but I didn't really pay as much attention to politics back then. But my goodness, that could, not word for word, but that could be a statement from Judge Kavanaugh.
It's sad that we're back again. And that's the sad thing. Clarence Thomas has been there for years now in the Supreme Court, and this stigma is still attached to him. If you go to Google him, and here we are with Judge Kavanaugh and this professor, Christine Blasey Ford. And it's so funny because when you watch CNN, they call her Professor Blasey, but when you watch Fox News, they call her Professor Ford. So
oh my goodness, yeah.
I don't know why we just can't stick with Professor Ford, but we're back in the same situation again. And these are allegations from over 30 years ago when someone was a teenager. And isn't the timing a little convenient? That's my question.
Oh, it's terribly convenient. That letter that was written to Feinstein was back in July, I believe.
Back in July.
And she sat on it?
She sat on it, and then things that I have questions about. This woman scrubbed her social media account, and then she took a polygraph. Who does that is my question. What was she preparing for?
Well, exactly. It's a setup, and I have a very liberal friend at work who also feels that this is a very, very ugly, dirty politics type move. He feels that it's basically Feinstein, throwing her own self under a bus, because it's very obvious that they're playing politics. There's nothing about this that says they really care about what happened to this woman.
Well, I know we're waiting. There's been Senator Grassley offered up some terms, and Friday she was supposed to get back to them, and then they came back last night and asked for an extension. And so we're awaiting right now for her to say if she's going to show up on Wednesday. She asked for Thursday. She asked for the judge not to be in the room when she testifies, and Senator Grassley said he understood that. She is also asking that the people that question her are the 11 senators that are in that committee who happen to all be white men. And I know the senators are trying to, everything I've seen out there, they want to have a female lawyer, and they want it to be a lawyer because lawyers know how to ask the questions to get the bottom of things. So it's just a mess.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of criticism of Grassley and how he's handled things, but I think what he's trying to do is call their bluff.
Well, and how long are we going to delay this is my question.
Well, and quite honestly, can't the Judiciary Committee subpoena her? They could have subpoenaed her as soon as they heard about this. So the fact that they're working with her, to me, says not that they're necessarily being wimps, although perhaps they are, but maybe they're just trying to call the bluff and say, all right, you need to come actually do something about this. Because
I loved how her lawyer said that she wants to go after him. No way. She's the one accusing him.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to hear what she says and then respond to these accusations. Pretty much, it's been. I can't even imagine. This is a Catholic man that has been investigated 6 times by the FBI, who's led a wholesome life. He's been a judge now forever. And he's a lector at his church. There's never been anything that has come up against him. And when all of this happened, 65 of his former classmates, who were all females, wrote a letter saying they were behind him. And it all started with one called, the other friend, and called the other friend, and that's how the letter came about. Was the women on their own?
Yesterday, there was I guess you'd call it a press conference with 87 women who were former classmates and colleagues,
which
interns,
you don't see this
on
the TV, unless we've got
right.
Fox News on. If you're reading print stories on the web, you've got to hunt for these stories because they're buried.
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And there's and the whole, she wants to go second, and she wants this. What has happened to due process? And,
and what happened to the word alleged? Because CNN, all of their guests are calling him a sexual predator. They're not even using the word alleged anymore. So
right. Well, that's because who, gosh, we cannot use the name, has nominated him. Because that's it. Anybody who is associated with our president is now an abuser or a drag.
Well, the bottom
whatever
line
else you want to call people
is when President Trump that we both supported and fought to get in, and I fought because I wanted these Supreme Court justice seats. I want it to be conservative, but I know Laura Ingraham said this past week too that the Dems are all up in arms because they think that Kavanaugh's going to overturn abortion, which I doubt, sadly. Let's kill babies is okay. But that's what's pushed them to the edge is the abortion part of it,
Well, and that's how you saw, so many women in those chambers during the hearings. That was, what they were protesting.
Right.
But I don't understand why they think putting him in there is going to overturn abortion. As far as I know, justices don't suddenly say, hey, there's more of us than you.
Well, and if anything were to happen, they might kick it back down to the states and let states decide this. But that is just so far from reality at the moment. And to think that some man that's always done the right thing has this woman that has brought this allegation against him. And, of course, if it's true, I don't want him to be a Supreme Court justice. This is a lifelong position. But what if this is not true? And it's just, I can't even imagine what he's going through. I don't think it's true, honestly. Everything just seems too convenient to me.
And, well, I totally, especially the timing of the whole thing. And some of the the statements that have been reported about resisting and et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. It's political theater. It's fear-mongering and political theater. And then there's the whole, he's part of the patriarchy type, we must take down white men type thought process. It's crazy.
Well, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Hollywood came quickly and gathered all these women that it's called #Dear Professor Ford, the video.
Oh, dear.
And throughout the entire thing, we believe you, we believe you, we believe you. And then they're like, sign your sisters. And they say that, and then they talk about the inevitable backlash of this whole thing. Well, what about the backlash for Kavanaugh? How are we going to prove
the threats
this?
against his family. I read an excellent op-ed today from a woman who had been raped several times as a child. Long story, but she was talking about his daughters. They're victims of this too. They're always going to have to deal with this, the threats against them, the hatred towards their dad. They're his family's not safe.
Well,
now I understand
both
that
sides have had
too,
both. Yes, both sides have had death threats, and that's one of her rationale of why she can't come forward. And I think it was the Washington Post had a whole feature on where she came from, because she went to an elite private school. It wasn't a Catholic school; it just was a private school in D.C. and then went off to college, and I don't know, the story seemed to, she was kind of all over the place, and finally someone said, you need to graduate on time, major in psychology, and she's gotten her PhD, and she understands psychology and I guess traumatic events. So that's what she's written on, she's written all these papers on that in that world. And then again, we've got her supposedly having a traumatic event all of a sudden.
But then I have a hard time understanding why she wouldn't have come forward earlier.
That I don't understand.
He's been through several confirmation processes. It's not like this is the first one for him.
Well, the story tries to pull at your heartstrings because she moved to California to escape it all, and then she studied and worked on her PhD partially in Hawaii and became a surfer and became a California girl, and it was because she was escaping this one moment in time when she was 15. So I don't want anybody making death threats against her, and I feel horrible for her children, but I also feel horrible for Kavanaugh, because if this isn't true, what they've done to him, and then it, of course, Senator McConnell said he's going to be confirmed. I think he's going to be confirmed, and that's the other ploy. They want to drag this out past the midterm elections, hoping that they can win seats and not, confirm any Republican to be a Supreme Court justice. It's just such dirty, dirty politics.
It is. It absolutely is. And unfortunately, even if there's truth to it, the dirty politics is going to hang over it anyway, because Feinstein used it to derail the process.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, I wanted to play just a smidge more of Clarence Thomas when he delivered this speech back in the day. So let me play a couple more sound bites here for you.
Court is not worth it. No job is worth it. I'm not here for that. I'm here for my name, my family, my life, and my integrity. I think something is dreadfully wrong with this country when any person in this free country would be subjected to this. This is not a closed room. There was an FBI investigation. This is not an opportunity to talk about difficult matters privately or in a closed environment. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace.
And we're back, right? It's like we're back in that court. Well, we're back there with Clarence Thomas. I mean, this is what next week's going to be. It's so embarrassing.
It's the same thing.
And then when you read about Anita Hill, she worked for Clarence Thomas twice. So and then she claimed that the sexual harassment occurred. Well, when they were investigating, I guess at one point, she gave him a ride to the airport after all of this. So I don't even think it was true back then. Why would you follow a sexual harasser and go work for them a second time and then give them a ride to the airport? So, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was horrible back then, and I think this is horrible now. And especially, these were teenagers. So it's a mess. It's a mess, Tracy.
It is. And just like you said, it's a circus, and it's a shame that it's coming, down to this kind of thing.
But hopefully we'll see what happens next week. I'm glad Senator Grassley's, I guess if he didn't offer the chance to do it on her terms the day she wants to